Great. Welcome everybody to the April 17th, 2024 Town of Waterboro Planning Board meeting. Angela, can we start with roll call?
Rick Madruga.
Here.
James Farias.
Here.
Rebecca Higgins.
Here.
Diane Gray.
Here.
Stacy Walker is absent this evening.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is minutes of the previous meetings. We have 3 to approve. First one is March 6, 2024. Are there any questions or edits on those minutes? Can I have a motion to accept? Oh, actually, let's go through all 3 of them and then we'll make a motion on all of them. So the second one is March 20th, 2024. Are there any edits or comments on those minutes?
No.
Okay. And then April 3rd, 2024. So can I have a motion to accept the minutes from the March 6th, 2024, March 20th, 2024, and the April 3rd, 2024 meetings?
April 3rd, we didn't have a meeting.
Correct.
April 3rd was canceled.
Correct.
So the minutes state that the meeting was canceled,
Yep.
therefore there are no minutes for recording.
Right.
So I'll make a motion
Okay.
to accept the minutes as they are.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor? All right. Next item on the agenda is public hearing. So that is for RSU 57 modular classroom at 86 West Road, Waterboro. Andy Johnson from ARC is here to present.
Good evening, folks.
Hello.
I'll go through this again fairly quickly. It's a pretty simple project, as you probably have understood from the first meeting we had. This is a new portable classroom building to the rear of Mass Basic High School. It's a 4-classroom unit. It's about 4,200 square feet. It's, as I say, it's set back well behind the high school next to the existing portables. It's just about visible from West Road. It's about 600 feet from West Road. It's about 300 feet from the nearest property line, which actually runs down the power lines down here. Of course, it's a long way from the rear property line and the property line on the other side. So this is going to be a modular classroom building. It's going to sit on post foundations. It has its own utilities that are going to connect to the utilities from the high school. So it has a water line. There's an existing water line that comes out of the high school building that feeds this portable. They're just going to tap that and bring it over here. The existing high school has a sewer line that runs down here, across into the pump station here, and the leach beds are under the fields. We're just tying into that in the corner of the building. There's no impact on the actual utility usage. This is just making more space for the existing kids at the high school. So it's not an increase in enrollment, not an increase in use. So both of these systems are capable of handling that. The power will be coming from the transformer here underground over to connect to the building, and from that propane tank field here. There'll be a little gas line that comes across to feed the HVAC units. We do have a couple of very minor site improvements associated with this. We're going to put a sidewalk along the edge of the parking lot here with curbing. What they've done previously and what exists right now, they have jersey barriers that run across in front of these ones. So we figured we'd do something just a little bit tidier than that. And there's dedicated handicap parking space in here with a ramp that leads up to the building. Other than that, that's pretty much all we're doing on the site. The stormwater for the building is going to drain to drip edges. This is all sand here. This is all Adams series sands. The water table is associated with the stream down here. It's about 10 feet below the ground level here. So most of it will go into the ground. There's a very kind of shallow depression between the baseball field and the parking lot that actually drains down to the stream this way. So any excess water will go down that way. That's pretty much the extent of the project that we're looking at here. There were a couple of items that we had during the staff review. One of them just related to potential foul balls from the baseball field hitting the building. So we have, and we showed on the site plan, potential safety netting here. And the RSU, if you want to put that in as a condition of the approval, that would be great. The RSU would appreciate if there's some flexibility in the language, because they may look at ball safety netting here, and they may look at window coverings as an alternative to that to protect the classroom. But they will do something, and we'll of course run it by Mike.
Okay.
The only other thing that we had outstanding, I think, was that these buildings, by your ordinance, are required to have fire extinguishers in them. they're required under fire code anyway, so they will have fire extinguishers in them. We added them to the note on the floor plan, but when you see the building plans, they'll have fire extinguishers, of course.
Excellent.
So you'll see that coming. And that's about it from me.
Great. Okay. It doesn't look like we have anybody here for the public hearing. So, I guess that being said, we'll close the public hearing since there's nobody here. So, thank you. And so we'll move on to old business. First thing old business, RSU 57, modular classroom, 86 West Road, Waterboro. Andy Johnson, you can stay right where you are. And so we'll continue with this discussion. So based on what Andy just presented, is there any questions, concerns? I don't think we had many the first time anyway, so.
I think that was the only thing was
Yeah.
the windows.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
talking about was the biggie, other than
Right.
we got through the septic and the water and
Yep.
all of that.
Pretty straightforward. Safety nets. Safety.
Well, they have that, and typically, you know, we've done these at other schools, they have the 20-foot high ball safety net, and you can just, we could actually just pin two of those posts to the back of the dugout there, and that would probably cover the most
Sure.
of it there, 2 or 3 of them. They just wanted to look at alternatives.
Oh,
to
sure,
that,
yeah.
so.
Anything from Michaela and Mike?
Nothing for me.
I'm satisfied at this
Okay.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess at this point, need a motion to approve the application, correct?
I motion to approve the application for the RSU 57 modular classroom.
Okay,
I second it.
okay. All those in favor? All right. That's it.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda under old business is Waterboro Woodyard, Chadbourne Ridge Road, Steve Blake from BH2M.
Hey everyone, Steve Blake with VH2M. Last time we were here is when we received preliminary approval for the project. This is an 8-lot subdivision. What used to be an 11-lot subdivision, but we lost 3 lots because of the historic homestead that was found on site. So this version, or really the final subdivision plan, is essentially the same as what was approved for the preliminary application. The only exception is we made a few changes to the stormwater, the proposed stormwater BMPs. Previously we were using filters, and now we have a level spreader BMP and a detention basin, which in terms of what's required by the town for detaining post-development flows, it has the same impact that the previous stormwater BMPs had, so we're not increasing runoff at all from the project. I know we had a few questions from the code office and from DPW that we responded to in the application packet that I believe the board has. But really, it's a very, very similar project. It's 8 lots. The road length is the same. And we have all of our other permits as well. So we have a NERPA PBR and a stormwater PBR approved by DEP, and then we also have our main general permit that was approved by the Army Corps of Engineers. That's all I have.
Okay. Michaela, Mike, you want to start?
Sure. And I think in one of the other slides, my primary concern was lot 8. It's a couple of slides in there, a couple more. 1, 2, 3, whoop, back one. That's lot 8. And this is the one that borders Chadbourne Ridge. My primary concern, of course, was the sizing of the culvert. Looks like they're gonna put a 3-foot culvert in there, a 30-inch culvert, something to that effect.
36.
36,
Yep.
so it's a 3-foot culvert in there, so that's more than adequate for the flows, I would imagine. And it also will be embedded for fish passage, which is another great caveat for this. So it looks like they've definitely done their homework regarding lot 8. Now if we can go back to the original page, Dave, with the all We have lots 1, 2, and 3. I had asked for square footages for the critical terrestrial area, which is the hatched area that you see there on lots 1, 2, and 3. The square footages are very, very helpful. However, in hindsight, I think that I would prefer to have some measurements in here. If we can put those on the print in this area, depicting the back area from the measurement from the front of the lot to the rear of each one of these impacted areas. So if we could have some dimensions here so that we can verify, and maybe some covenants in the deeds as well, stating that this is the max area that can be encroached upon. I don't anticipate anything, I don't anticipate this small thing holding up any approval tonight as long as we make it a condition.
Okay.
Okay? And the other thing, God bless the housing market, this development originally was presented as infrastructure only and the lots were to be sold after the fact. Well, lo and behold, the code office is already receiving calls or inquiries as to when we can issue permits on these lots. So I need the board to figure out if we're going to continue to require for the infrastructure to be totally in place before any permits are issued, what type of bonding and so forth. If we're not going to, then what type of bonding will be held for the completion of the road.
Okay.
Those are just the two things that I have the board to ask. So, critical terrestrial habitat. Okay, we'd like to have some measurements from the front lot line to the rear of the exposure for lots 1, 2, and 3. And then we need to decide on at what point we're going to allow building to begin on these lots. Like lot 8. Lot 8 obviously is kind of separate. It's not necessarily so dependent on the infrastructure. If they're able to sell that lot with the agreement that the developer is going to follow suit with their permitting for the stream crossing and so forth. And I wouldn't see that being so much as of an issue to issue a permit on that prior to the infrastructure being complete. Did I confuse anybody there?
No, but I have a question just to back up, if I may.
Sure.
On note 17, the vernal pool data, the lot 1, 2, and 3 numbers there, is that what you asked to have?
Yep. That's the critical terrestrial habitat.
But you wanted the measurements besides this?
Right, well, she
Okay.
gives us a square footage of impacted area, but from an enforcement standpoint,
You want to know how many feet
if I
from
have,
the square
if I go from the property line, if I go 200 or 145 feet
Sure.
is the limit of that,
You
of the
want to be
limit
able
of
to
that
take out a
impact.
tape measure as somebody maps out their foundation to make sure that they're not encroaching.
To
on the
make
scale.
sure that somebody hasn't overcut or overcleared in these
Gotcha.
areas.
Yep, okay.
Yep. So
Could
basically,
we do that with, just, I guess I'll just throw this out there, as like a condition with, maybe there's a plot plan that needs to come with a building permit application?
we can,
Okay.
as long as that restriction, as long as that is in there, so that I have that information at the time of permitting.
Okay.
So that I can verify
Yeah,
that, so I can stand on the,
Yep.
on the property line with my range finder and get an approximate, you know?
okay. Yeah, I guess my only concern with putting on the subdivision plan is this is a lot of information to put on there that. might
Sure,
be a
yep,
little bit
yep.
Hard to
And-
read, but,
And if we wanted to do, put in a condition that we need to have specific plot plans with measurements of the critical terrestrial area submitted at the time of permitting, you could word it that way as well.
okay.
Might even just the lots 1 through 3.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
and that's only required for those 3 lots.
That's right, the lots 1, 2, and 3. You can see the hatched area
Yep.
there. That's because we can't exceed 25% of that 250-foot buffer
Gotcha.
for the vernal pool. And any further impact beyond this marked area would encroach on that. We're at, 23%, I believe.
Yep. So that takes care of question number one. Question number two is in regards to when do we,
Exactly,
when we
what
pull the
time,
trigger?
exactly, what time, at what point can we issue permits on this, because we're getting inquiries already. And it hasn't even gained full approval yet, and we've had several people inquiring as to when they can pull permits on these lots.
So is it,
Anticipating it's going to be approved. I've had 3
Right.
calls today anticipating this project will be approved
Wow.
tonight
From
or
no.
from outside sources, from real estate agents,
Oh, knowing that this is happening.
knowing
Okay.
that this subdivision is pending and likely slated for approval in the near future. So the people are chomping at the bit due to the housing market
Yeah.
to pull permits on this and get started. I mean, I think they just barely started cutting, didn't they?
I don't think Brent started cutting.
I don't,
Has he?
I
Brett
didn't
hasn't
see
started doing
anything.
much
I
right
don't
now.
think so, yeah.
No,
I
Brent's
don't think-
I didn't see
I
it.
don't know, you're gonna know Brent, he probably is.
Yeah.
And just to clarify again, lot 1 is going off the road. Lot 1's not going off track 1.
Correct, the driveway is coming off the proposed road, yeah. So is it typical in town to not issue building permits until all the infrastructure is?
The way that
To-
this project, yes, the way that this project was slated, otherwise there's bonds and so forth to be held for road construction.
Okay. And so the bonds wouldn't be required otherwise?
Correct. If the infrastructure is complete before permits are issued,
So the question
Then
is
we don't
whether
need to
we
vote.
decide to wait until this road is in place in order to start selling
and finished,
and
yes.
finished, right, in place, finished,
Like you can
completely
put your
done.
base coat down and then require a bond for the
Right.
remainder of the paving to do the top coat.
Could it be like an either or situation where it's, if whoever wants to bond for it can do that and then pull permits, but if they don't want to bond for it, they can't pull permits?
Do we dictate that or do they?
I'm not, we take the bond. We take the bond to verify that the
You don't
road
care
will
who
be
you get it from
complete.
though.
No, we don't. We do not care who we get it from.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, that's the other flip side of things. Is this subdivision gonna sell in its entirety, or is it going to be one lot at a time?
Right, because initially we thought the whole thing was gonna
Right.
go to somebody else.
Yeah.
Correct.
And now you have an idea that that may not be the case.
Well, I've got inquiries on specific lots already, so, and there's a real estate agent, one agent has called me asking as to when this may be approved and when we can kind of move forward, and then a couple hours later, a different one called.
So
Busy
will
day,
will this be a town road at some point, Mike? or-
I believe that is the intent. It's certainly set up and designed for it to meet town specs and requirements to be a town road at some point. What we've done in the past is oftentimes they rough in the road. They rough in the road and they build the road, I guess, to the gravel base.
Yeah.
And then they put the first layer of asphalt down, and then we wait until the subdivision is complete for the
Yeah.
final coat, because
Yeah.
excavators being dropped
Right,
off,
right,
septic
right,
systems
yeah.
being put in.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the road is damaged, and then that bond covers us for any repair that the road may need to the base layer, and then,
So that would make more sense.
Yeah, I would say that it's one or the other.
so the easy thing for us to do is, for the board to do, it's probably not gonna make the real estate real happy.
Is to wait, right?
Is to say, well, the infrastructure needs to be
Yeah.
complete prior to any issuance of any building permits.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah,
But
right.
when you say complete, do you mean top
Com-
coat?
Complete.
So what happens if it gets messed up during construction?
Not the top coat, though.
Right. So you could set that up. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
board's
so-
pleasure. We can set that
Yeah.
up so that we go, the infrastructure's complete to the base layer. We hold a small bond of whatever it may cost to put the finished coat on,
yeah.
and then allow permitting to begin.
Especially if it's gonna be a town road, I would rather wait till
The,
the construction.
the town is likely not gonna accept this until it's built out. and-
Right, I was gonna say.
Right,
it's full,
it's all
yeah.
done.
Right.
Do you recall what was decided for the last time a subdivision went through?
Try not to look at last time, let's learn from each event.
How much did we
What
really,
did you learn from the last
how
one?
much did we really learn?
To do this?
Yeah, to make sure this detail is ironed out thoroughly.
Is taken care of?
So is this gray area that is highlighted, is that where it's gonna be cut?
No, the gray area is basically a 100-foot step back from the septic system, so it's a well exclusion area, is what that is.
Okay.
There's the cutting area isn't shown on here, but
No.
I mean, the road is, it's not that much of a road.
It's not
There's
huge.
There's not a ton of infrastructure to build, so, I think that, that's fine.
Yeah. I think we should not allow any sale of lots until the infrastructure is in place. And I think, to be fair, to have that say to the base coat, so that we're not destroying infrastructure, and to do a bond potentially for the difference.
And you could word that a little bit differently, that
Yeah.
may be a little bit more attractive to the real estate market as well, saying that no permits could be issued
Right.
opposed to sale.
Yeah.
So no building permit could be issued until the infrastructure was complete.
So in other words, they could sell the lot,
Exactly.
but they just couldn't
Can't do
use the
anything.
lot until this was, okay.
Can we accept lot 8 from that condition?
I'd be
We could,
comfortable.
right, because that's not part of the.
Right.
the-
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And just to clarify, when you say infrastructure, you mean the road?
The road.
I mean, the road, the ditches, the culverting,
Right.
the level spreaders, all of our stormwater needs to be complete.
That part of it, yeah. I agree with that, yeah.
Do we need
What?
motions on all of that? We don't
No, you just
tonight,
need-
right?
you
We just need to
just-
make sure it's documented in the
We
finding.
did- Yep, need to make some notes with that, and
Yeah.
then to verify that anything outside of the right of way put my public works dig in
Yeah.
for the public works guy, is that the homeowners, so that needs to be, any maintenance needs to be
Completed by the homeowners association, homeowners or the
HO,
association.
yep, anything outside of maintenance belongs to the HOA.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we actually have covenants that were part of the packet that.
Yeah.
that
It state all that,
Yeah, yeah.
from our earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do we need to, we've done public hearing, or we need a public, we've done, correct?
Yes, we did.
We've already
last.
done it.
We've done. So is this a motion to accept the application as
To
complete?
approve the application with
With-
With
with the
conditions.
Yeah.
With conditions.
Who wants to make a motion with all the conditions?
I think it should be made with the conditions, but I think we need to
Agreed.
talk about
Yeah,
what they're gonna
what
be
they are, yeah.
and what the language we're gonna
Yeah.
use.
But one of them was measurements on 1, 2, and 3, right?
Plot
That's,
plans.
right, that's
The
my,
plot plans
Question.
must
Yeah.
state, must give measurements from a property line to the rear of the critical terrestrial.
and does everybody agree that like lot 8 should be,
Excluded.
Yeah.
Excluded.
Yeah, it's not part of the road.
Rear of the critical terrestrial.
Yep.
Yeah,
Infrastructure must be complete to base layer. I think that was,
And that was for before permits.
right,
yes.
Yeah.
Complete to base layer.
yep. With the bond to cover
For finish
the
coat.
difference for the finish coat, top coat, however you break it down.
And we're including the local splitters, level spreaders, and all
And
that.
stormwater infrastructure.
Okay.
With lot 8 exempt from that. And that was to issue building permits.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be sold, we just can't build on them until.
Right.
That's a mess.
Oh, yeah, it's-
So the
You already have a copy
infrastructure,
ready to sign?
I have 5, I wasn't sure how many to bring. I can just leave that, but I don't know when it's appropriate, but I'll leave them here.
infrastructure must be complete to the base layer with a bond to cover the finished top coat, including storm water. Lot 8 is exempt from this condition, but this I need to read. For building permits to be issued.
Yep.
Prior to permitting is a short word.
Lot 8 is exempt from this condition.
That one
Okay.
was sold tomorrow. Somebody's watching us.
I'll be
right
up
now
on
going,
the-
yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure.
Well, lot 8 will be going.
Yeah, lot 8 will be up. Take it off the market.
I think I went to school with
Just
him,
those
actually.
two?
Yeah, just those two. Right, Mike, those were the two. Anything else from anybody? Any questions?
No.
All right, so I guess I need a motion. That includes those,
Conditions?
yeah, with the, we could just say the conditions noted, right? Do we have to read them again? So, a motion to find the application complete with the conditions discussed and documented this evening.
To approve, wouldn't it be?
Oh, approved, excuse me, yeah, yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve
Conditions noted.
with the conditions we just discussed as far as the critical terrestrial habitat for lots 1, 2, and 3, and the road infrastructure to be up to par to base layer
Prior to permitting.
and bond, prior to permitting. Yeah, go ahead and second that.
I second this.
All right, all those in favor?
I don't remember it all.
Great job.
There.
Great, thank you very much.
You want me to take those?
That'll be awesome. Thank you.
Ready.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to stay.
All right, next item on the agenda is the FA zone change request update. So this was the discussion we had in workshop after the last meeting. And this was in regards to Steve Everett's visit and discussion of F&A and whether we wanted to make changes and all that good stuff. So, Mike, do you
You're
have
up, Mike.
anything to add? Would you like to start us off?
It's based on the findings of our workshop, it didn't seem like this is something that the board wants to move forward with at this time.
Correct.
Correct.
That concludes our discussion.
All right, excellent. All right. Next on the agenda is a LADA update.
Back to me.
Yes.
I've had a couple of meetings with Mr. Darnick, and we had asked him to do a number of things. One thing that came out in the Maine State statute regarding junkyards / automobile,
Recycling?
thank you, automobile recycling. There are two different setbacks from private and public wells. Junkyards are 500 feet, and the automobile recycling is 300.
He's
From
not
it-
500 feet from that abutter.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
That's correct. So that's why I did some more research and found out that the automobile recycler, the setback is knocked down to 300 feet.
Mhm.
Now, with that being said, it's still very tight, so we're not sure as to where he's at with that.
Gotcha.
So, if, in the event that he can meet that 300-foot setback, I also asked him, or had gave him some homework. So in preparation for any potential approval, he needs to first come up with a list of vehicles that he actually has titles for. And then, because he has done repair work as well, so that he also stated that there are some units that are on his lot that have been there for some time that do not even belong to him. So he has to do abandoned vehicle title searches and all of that stuff for all of these vehicles. So in order for them to move, so I mentioned to him, in order to get down to a count of 35 vehicles, a substantial amount of this work needs to begin
Yeah.
in good faith in order to come back to the board in the event that we can adjust his site plan so that it's adequate.
Yeah.
We did come up with some significant improvements as far as the site plan. All the vehicles were going to be moved out back on some manner of a slab. Most of the storage vehicles, the salvage vehicles, other than the ones he's repair. Then we added some vehicle parking for employee parking as well. So there's some changes going on with the site plan. It's looking better and better all the time, but we still have a ways to go before we're ready to come back to the board.
Has any cars moved?
There were like 19 that left, and then probably 14 came back.
I was gonna say, I look, when I drive by anyway.
So maybe 5 over in the grand scheme of things.
Somebody was a really good valet parker at some point in their life.
An encouraging,
They are crammed in,
Yeah,
you're right.
an encouraging thing is I actually, somebody had witnessed him walking around the yard earlier this week inventorying. So.
Well, he seemed
He seemed
to be-
genuine when he was
yeah,
here.
that he's trying.
He's trying, so, you know, if we can come up with something that works for everyone and it's an improvement,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
it's
that,
better.
it's an improvement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Watch close.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Work in progress, exactly. All right, next item on the agenda is new business. We don't have anything listed. Next is communication. Angela, do we have anything here, something listed?
I have something.
You do?
If I
Alright.
can jump in and
You
talk.
sure
right
can.
now. Okay, the state passed LD 1976, so it's an update to the growth management law, and it completely redoes how comprehensive plans are written and evaluated. It's sort of good timing for you all, since your comp plan could use an update sometime soon anyways. I think there will be big changes to it, or big clarifications on how it should be implemented once rulemaking comes out, but that was passed, and so if Waterboro wants to have a state consistent comprehensive plan, which, you know, opens up different funding priorities and things like that, then just knowing that those changes are out there, and that you might want to start thinking about how the comprehensive plan update process will go and when and what that might look like. Yeah, just wanted to
Okay. No,
kind
that's
of
good
get that on
information.
the,
Yeah.
on the noggin.
Michaela, that was
Right.
LD what?
1976.
So we need to start looking for a committee, right? The comp committee?
And it's updates to what?
The growth management
Look
law.
away, don't make eye contact.
It's not a rush, I think, I think rulemaking is gonna take some time for this one. But, and obviously, it's not something you have to do instantly, but, just something to know.
How long typically does a comprehensive plan take to completion?
I'd say most take between a year and a year and a half, not longer than that.
So
It took quite a
no-
while when
so-
they did that.
I
So,
was gonna
so
say
no can kicking.
I
Let's
wanna
get a
say
committee
close
going.
to-
Let's
Well,
get
we
a,
don't also wanna put the cart before the horse, Mike.
it's just,
On a
it
rulemaking
just
department.
forming a committee, Michaela, that's all.
Thank you, Michaela.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm, Kaylee,
Information.
JLD 2003,
Yeah.
recurring nightmares.
Next item is miscellaneous. Anything there? No. So the last item is adjournment. So, if we're all set, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?